Sometime after our mission in Tempeal, we bumped into the old merchant in Folka.
Well, look who the cat dragged in. Thanks for handling things in Tempeal. You all deserve the best.
Tempeal had been roughed up by Furican's rampage, and all of the locals were busy repairing the damage. The work we did that day had been crucial to those recovery efforts.
Out of curiosity, my young lizard friend, were you much help to your crew?
Uh-oh. He said the L word. I turned to Vern, ready for his usual furious tagline.
Thanks, Pops. You really helped me see the light.
Huh. This was new. The old man threw an apple to Vern, and they exchanged a nod. Then, without explaining this bizarre bond between them that just came out of the blue, he left.
Does anyone else feel like the space-time continuum just broke?
Io was staring, dumbfounded at the small dragon, who was already happily munching away on a tart Granny Smith. Had he matured? Enough to ignore his most hated of hated insults?
Seriously, this is just too much to believe. He called you a lizard and everything. Maybe the ship will be a little quieter from now on, huh? Hold it! I ain't no lizard! And don't you say that in front of the apple. What if it hears you?
Maybe he'd get there in another adventure or two.
How many times do I gotta say it? Getting parts to fix the Nautilus out here in the boonies is next to impossible.
I've never been good with women. My words never come out quite the way I mean for them to. I thought maybe Miss Mechanic would be on board, but... I probably shouldn't be doing this behind Kent's back anyway.
I'm telling you, I've tried everything. Sure, I'd love to see her fly again, but it's time to... get real. Right?
Hey, come on. That was against the rules. How was I supposed to keep a stern attitude against that blubbering mess? When I finally got a word in edgewise, I let her know I already had the parts she needed. Picked them up here and there, across Fanta Grande and Nala Grande. Here, this what you need? I'll cut you a deal.
Wait, how? Where in the skies did you find these?
Caught up in her excitement, she leapt at me. Whoa, not so close, Missy. Of course, she paid me no regard. It was the parts she had her eyes on.
Some modifications here and there, I could... Yeah. I can't believe it! The dream is alive!
Yep, the dream was alive. She didn't have to say it. The look on her face was enough. All that hubbub from earlier was nowhere to be found. After forking over the payment, she happily took the spare parts off my hands. She also made sure to plant a big fat kiss on my cheek before scurrying off. Sheesh, at least warn a guy beforehand, right? Women, I swear. In any case, the winds were starting to blow back in their favor.
With each Skydom I visit, I survey both the lands and the people, hoping to extract the worthiest hearts as vassals for my own kingdom. To that end, I return to Folka, the first settlement we came upon in Zega Grande. But though the earth is ever filled with rich soil and strong rock, true gems are few and far between. So too are the noblest spirits. The people of Folka were of a good but common sort, who preferred constancy to change. They had no army, and peace in the city was kept by a band of volunteers. But if there is one thing I have learned from the captain and crew, it is that wisdom and strength often reside in the unlikeliest of places. Thus, I sought out the Fulcan Defense Corps, hoping to find a diamond in the rough. The city folk, however, expressed little faith in their guards.
The Defense Corps? Full of bums who got more stomach for eating than fighting.
Better off calling them the Defense Corpses for the fat lot of help they are.
Yet these were dangerous times for Folka. Brigands and monsters now swarmed about the city, attracted like flies to the reek of Avia. The people looked to the Defense Corps for protection, but received only excuses.
We don't have the resources to combat this threat. Take shelter until the danger is past.
And so the city grew to trust vagabond skyfarers more than their own soldiers. Though I had little hope of finding a vassal among this ragged band, perhaps there was a lesson to be learned from their weakness. When I build my kingdom, it will need to be governed by its own councils. But houses of power, choked by the vines of corruption and frailty, ever fall into decay. Is there any prevention? Where does the first crack form? It was in Folka that I would piece out the answer to this riddle.
Foul smell fills the air as my dissolving limbs grow black.
Protect the captain! Get him somewhere safe!
No, leave me. Run.
As long as you're alive, we can rebuild. We promised, didn't we? Our lives are in your hands.
You're not allowed to make this sacrifice for me. Please, save yourselves. I'll never forget the memory of that day. My conceit put us in that mess, but I was the only one who made it. After all the good times we shared, after all the pain, they would have to live on in my memory. Once I could pick myself back up again, I began to temper my body. I swore I'd never let the same tragedy repeat itself. It wasn't long before this husk became resilient, augmented and conditioned to withstand even lightning. I no longer felt physical pain, or much of anything at all. It was preferable that way. I could be a shield to protect others, to protect them from the same tragedy that befell my crew. Having lost my place in the world, I found a home in the society, and quickly became contractor to the seal weapon, Great Scythe Grynoth. My missions were simple: hunt primal beasts or exterminate the foe. I did my job so that I could keep people safe, to aid them in their time of need. But despite my best efforts, I still failed. I was powerless when Vern was kidnapped right in front of me. Worst of all, I could do nothing but watch as our hopeful new recruit was cut down. What good was I when I couldn't even protect a single one of my comrades? Maybe the real mistake was believing I could do good in the first place. I joined the society to protect others, which sounds noble on paper, but in reality, it was all for my own sake. I'm the reason that my old crew, my family, found an early grave. It was only right that I spend the rest of my meager life in atonement. At least, that's the excuse I told myself. In truth, another part of me was deluded into thinking I could free myself from the guilt, but only if I could change into another person. Turns out that being immune to physical torture does nothing to protect your heart from psychological torment. Speaking of mental suffering, not long after I joined the society, Ilsa assigned Zeta as my partner. The old me would have worked with her just fine, but too much had changed. Her blunt honesty rubbed me the wrong way. A man can only take so much random commentary before he goes insane. Even Ilsa called her Pupper, which was kinder than what I had in mind back in those days. But it was an apt name, considering all of her barking. I didn't care about forging a real partnership with Zeta. Every time we had a mission together, I just wanted to finish it as fast as possible. But it backfired. Whenever I pushed her away, she pushed back 10 times harder. She was determined to know me. I would have never admitted it out loud, but I was afraid. After all, the closer you are with someone, the harder it is to cope with their loss. As for why I joined the captain's crew, well, I had my reasons. The captain's father was awaiting our crew in Estalucia, and that meant duking it out with primals and gathering sky map pieces along the way. The captain was strong and humble, had a knack for overcoming hardship. With leadership like that, I knew this crew could actually make it. That's not to say they were running a flawless operation. The way I saw it, they had two big problems. Vern and Lyria, the Red Dragon and the Girl in Blue. It's true they were core members of the crew, but they possessed powers which could represent grave consequences for the skies. Should one overflow with astral energy, or the other absorb enough primal power, they would be erased and herald the destruction of everything as we know it. It was possible the captain could reach Estalucia without any sacrifices, but I wasn't the type to bet on fate. These kids needed a shield. This body of mine would protect them all, no matter what came to pass. At least, that's what I intended. During the fight against the Moon Dwellers, I lost myself to the Atomagod Grinoth's power and raised my scythe against the crew. As pathetic as it was, I became the very threat I swore to protect them from. That was why I prepared a way to stop my own heart. I wouldn't hurt my comrades again. If I couldn't protect anyone, then the least I could do was make sure I could do no more harm.
What are you playing at, Vasaraga? Is this your penance after what happened to Lester?
I was fine with sacrificing myself, as long as I could save someone else. A part of me even believed I deserved such a fate.
I hate when you act alone. You could have come to me for help first, you know? We're partners, damn it!
I couldn't feel pain, but somewhere inside I felt like a wound had split me in two. It took me far too long to realize that it hurt my comrades to see me suffering. That I had chosen to run instead of face my fears.
Did you hear me, you big lug? You're not gonna drop dead on us. Not on my watch.
My partner's instincts were sharp enough to cut right through me. But it was her words, honest and blunt, which shattered the walls around my cowardly heart. The pain I should have dealt with a long time ago came spilling out, but this time, it was accompanied by a burning desire. We're going to survive this, together. And that's the way it's been ever since. Early in the morning, before the crew was to head out for a request, I headed to the forest surrounding Folca to conduct a test on Grinoth. On the way, I was stopped by the sight of a young girl watering the vegetable garden by her home, the wet plants sparkling beneath the morning sun. But something felt off about the scene. In contrast to the bright garden, a dark, foul mist seemed to surround the girl. Upon noticing me, she scrambled back into her house. The miasma clung to her as she fled. Sorry, lass. Shouldn't have snuck up on you like that. But that odd mist looked too real to be an illusion, and yet it didn't seem to be doing any harm. I decided to keep an eye out. After all, Folca was bustling with the influx of refugees from Tempeal. And there was no telling what could happen in strange times such as these. Grinoth ripped through the silence of the forest. As I lowered the scythe, the quiet returned. It was a perfect place for tuning the weapon. At least, it would have been had I not sensed the presence of someone watching. Whoever it was, they had yet to strike, so I assumed they were no threat. Perhaps they were one of Folca's residents. "I know you're there. State your business." Turning around, I saw the familiar face of the mist-shrouded girl.
That black armor. Your big scythe.
Her expression was blank, completely devoid of the cheer she had while watering her garden. Eventually, she spoke as tears welled in her eyes.
I'm tired, Mr. Reaper. You can take me away now.
The floodgates broke, a steady stream cascading down her cheeks. Mr. Reaper? What are you talking about?
I only wanted to grow those little ones, but everything I do hurts them. They all rot away. All I do is cause pain.
The girl hung her head and grew silent. It was obvious she had given up on life. It was a feeling I was all too familiar with. Once you've steeled yourself for death, you start thinking there's no other way out. But before I could console her, a monster appeared from the brush and leapt at the girl. I felled it in a single blow, but she gasped at the grisly sight. Fear appeared in her eyes. Good. If she could still fear death, then she wasn't too far gone. Sorry to disappoint, but I'm no Reaper. Most I can manage is to bring you safely home. You'd rather not be monster kibble, right? Need to gather your thoughts? I get it. Life rarely gives us obvious choices.
Okay.
Keep close. Maybe it was just a trick of the light, but I saw a bit of life return to her gaze. I took a step back toward the village, ready to prove I was no Reaper of the afterlife. Time to go home. Should be this way.
Oh, so I don't even... So it's just me alone then? There's no... Wait, I recognize this spot.
That didn't feel like an earthquake to me. Path's blocked by a boulder.
Weird. It wasn't here before.
Let's look around.
I guess. Fight a boss. Yep.
Someone's hungry. Stand back. I'll take care of it. Try and stop me! Come if you dare! Battalions of fear! Step up! I'll cut you all down! Burn on! Roger, I'll observe for now. This body cannot be killed.
Risking your life for.
I said I'd bring you home. Besides, I've faced worse than this before. Try and stop me! Come if you dare! Try and stop me! Come if you dare. Battalions of fear! Try and stop me! So they were holding out. Death! Violent shadow! Not yet.
You actually defeated that huge beast by yourself.
Good. You're not hurt. Now, what do we do about that boulder?
I know another way back. It'll take longer, but...
Fine by me. You take the lead.
So she knows a longer way back. Alright.
Over here.
I feel eyes on us. We're not alone.
Zombies!
I got them. It's over! Come if you dare! That's that. Ready to go?
Yeah.
No treasures? Come on. I know it's just a story, like, side quest, but there's like nothing here.
What is that?
It's probably a big undead from the look of it.
You look exactly like a Reaper.
I guess I'm no slouch with the scythe. You have two options. Or life is mine! Proceeding with caution. So, what's this whole obsession with death about? You don't have to answer, but just remember, once you die, that's it. Don't be so hasty to throw your life away. Burn off! Weakling! Primal souls, temper this blade!
Oh yeah.
Now fall! You can't stop fear!
Come on. What are you gonna can do this, okay? Got all of them with that swing.
The Reaper?
Even if I was, it's not your time yet. Not today.
And there you go.
Upon arriving at the girl's home, I was met by a shocking sight. The thriving garden I'd seen before was now gray and withered, its fruits and vegetables rotting away. How could all the life have been sucked from this place in such a short span of time? When I looked at the girl, she purposefully avoided my gaze. I decided against questioning her for the moment. Whatever's going on, I might be able to help, but we can talk about that later. You should rest.
Okay.
She took an unsteady step through the door of her home. As I watched her go, I felt eyes on the back of my head. But when I turned around, no one was to be found. Yeah, I doubt I imagined that. I spent a few moments scanning the perimeter, but soon found nothing of concern. I decided to call it a day.
Been on guard all day. We doing this or not?
Pleasure working with you.
Good. Neither of us wants a fine business opportunity to slip through our fingers.
Hey, this is out of the blue, but I might have some personal things to tend to.
Oh, say what? You're gonna flake on us?
While you check the ruins, I'll look for the red ship. It'll be more efficient.
I appreciate the thought, but should you go after them alone?
There's no need to worry about me. I promise. I always finish what I start.
Thank you, Roland. We owe you so much.
Take care of them, Zathba.
Are you telling me how to do my job? Who's wearing the informant pants here?
Oh, you got me there. What was I thinking? Oh, but at least take this.
Well, well. A transceiver.
I made it with my own 2 hands. I'd like it back when this is over.
Better hope it doesn't fall apart on me then. Now, as a small bonus, our family's pride and joy will fly you to Dolly in style.
Be careful out there, everyone.
You're coming with me.
Sweet.
Oh, before you ask, this ride's free. Make it worth my while, Skyfarers.
Dolly Island. That's where we're going to find the Catalyst Stone to free Lyria from the Mind Sealer. This is our last thread of hope, and nothing's gonna make us let go. Not even a waking nightmare.
It's okay. Come, the stars await, and we mustn't keep them.
You were tossing. Do you feel all right?
Yeah. And how are you feeling?
I feel fine. Why ask me such a question? I found it. Another god.
As we fly closer to the main island, an ocean of sand seems to stretch on forever. Large ruins break the surface like icebergs. It's time to start digging through the past, because in one of those tombs lies the catalyst to our future.
That beardo thinks he can boss me around? Well, I'm doing this for Lyria.
Yeah, but he is our only hope of getting anything that can help free her, so I think you should be a little more grateful for it.